This is a place for planting, for digging, for harvesting, for relaxing. It's a place to get your hands dirty, but most of all, it's about having fun. And that's what you'll always have when you're in the garden with Doug Oster. You want a green thumb too, don't you? The snowdrops are blooming, the snowdrops are blooming. It has begun, something is flowering. I say, hey, spring has started, but everyone else in the house says, no, it's gonna snow, it's gonna be cold. It doesn't matter, nothing can stop us now. And look at these little beautiful white flowers in February. It's absolutely amazing. This is a variety called Flora Pleno. It's a double, and just look at those flowers. And as I said, there's no stopping us now. One thing I'm not excited about coming up are these daffodils. Now, I inherited these right up close to the house like this, but if your daffodils are up and you're just seeing little greens, no problem. These have the buds that are up. When it gets cold, they could freeze out, but in all the years that we've been here, nearly 20 years, they always come up early and they always end up blooming. They don't freeze out, but this is awful early. Let's take a look at one more thing that's coming up and then we'll get to work. It is amazing this time of the year when we get a few warm days and we see something like these chives come up, and there's nothing like the first fat little buds. Oh, that is great. All right, we've avoided it long enough. We have some real work to do after I nibble on my chives. Those are good. Well, one thing before we get started, James says that the chives are rather pungent. He can smell them from over there, but I don't care. This is pruning time, when trees and shrubs are in their dormant state. And the one thing you got to watch is if you're going to be pruning a spring bloomer, like a rhododendron or an azalea, or in this case a flowering crab, you're going to lose some of those blooms because, you know, this is where the flowers are. In the case of rhododendron, they've got buds. And so pruning is an art and a science, and I'm really not very good at it. This is a flowering crabapple tree that I moved over here. It was a sprout from another tree over there, and it doesn't look good with its form. So most importantly, we're going to take our time with this. I know for sure this branch has got to go. It's growing up into this tree and wherever there are crossing branches. And so that's the first thing, is this has got to come off for sure. And we'll take it down here, and it's almost even with the tree. There's a little bump there, and that's our first one. That looks better, and we'll see what else we need to do here. That's going to have to come off for sure. I think this whole thing. And of course, we need to have sharp tools. That's what we did last week. And I'm just taking off branches that are growing to the interior of the tree. And as I said, take your time, step back between cuts and see what on the tree should stay and what should go. And I see one more that certainly has to come out of there. Now let's deal with some bigger branches with a different tool. That looks pretty good. Well, we have a large misshapen branch on a hemlock tree. It's got to come out. Now, the trick to this is we're not going to cut right next to the tree for our first cut, because if this falls off, this could tear the bark and damage the tree. We're going to go out a little ways, right out to here. We don't care if there's a problem here, and we're using a proper pruning saw. This is a Felco, which is a great brand for cutting tools. And see how that kind of breaks away like that? We don't want that to happen. Now, we've just got this little bit here, and we want to be about 1/4 inch from the trunk of the tree. That looks good. And coming right along the same line. Nice sharp blade. And just about through. That's all there is to it. That looks good. Good cut. All right, let's finish up. Check me out online. That's where you can find other garden stories, blog posts, and videos, and find out how to win this brand new gardening book called Fresh from the Garden. We're doing that every Friday at Everybody Gardens. Now, until next week, I'm going back out and getting some chives. Chive on. We'll see you then. Tune in this Friday to In the Garden. We're going to be juggling chainsaws. Not really, but I am going to teach you how to prune, and you can win this book, Fresh from the Garden. We'll see you then.